How do everyone, and welcome back to Royville I4C One Shot. My name is Stefan, and I have a different issue. I'm not doing the run of Justice League Dark. We got the first big story done in Justice League Dark, and so I wanted to kind of do a few other issues before we jump back into it. Don't worry, we're going back to Justice League Dark, but I wanted to kind of get a few others off my plate. One of the ones was a goal I had for collecting this year. I really like this character, and I wanted his first appearance. So, without further ado, let's get in to Mr. Miracle #1. And I just love this cover. So colorful, so vibrant. There's a lot of action to it. All right. So this is Mr. Miracle, Volume 1, #1, the first appearance of Scott Free. This was released in April of 1971. The writing and the art, the penciling, is done by none other than the late, great Jack Kirby. And the inking was helped out by Vince Colletta. So, that being said, let me give you a little bit of backstory with Scott Free. So there's a group in the DC universe called the New Gods. You might have heard of perhaps Darkseid. He is a larger-than-life character in the New Gods and basically the ultimate bad guy for this group and, by consequence, the DC Universe. There are others. There's Orion. There's Lightwave, I think his name is. There's the High Father, who is kind of Darkseid's contemporary. Well, Scott Free is actually the High Father's son. And there was a little bit of a prisoner exchange between the High Father's son and Darkseid's son, and Scott Free grew up in the pits of apocalypse. But that did not break Scott Free's hope. He was eventually able to escape and made it to Earth, which is where this story takes place. Scott Free happens along a group, a man and his sidekick, a man named Mr. Miracle, oddly enough, and his sidekick Oberon. Oberon is very, very upset because Mr. Miracle is getting older, not as fast, and he is a Houdini-like figure, an escape artist, and he wants to do this big trick. They're going to go around the globe and premiere this big trick, and he's going to basically get his mojo back, shall we say. Well, he convinces Oberon that he's going to be able to do it. And so Oberon helps him get the chains on, get into a box. And then Oberon proceeds to use a flamethrower on the box. A flamethrower. Okay. Well, Scott Free sees this and is like, oh my gosh, this man's going to die. I got to help him out. He does so. Thaddeus thanks Scott Free for his assistance. And then the bad guys show up. Now these guys, I turned the page and I just smiled. This is so Kirby. These individuals just look amazing. The henchmen, the mug of their leader, like, my gosh, this was great. Now these guys are part of Intergang. Yeah, I wonder if this is Intergang's first appearance. They become actually kind of a big group in the DC universe, and I'm really wondering, if you know, go ahead and leave that in the comments. So they want to basically rough up Thaddeus and tell him that, the jig is up. I guess we kind of won our money, but they don't really ask for money. There seems to be some kind of wager. Well, Scot-free helps Thaddeus out and proceeds to pummel the bad guys into submission. They run off, screaming that they're going to tell Steelhand. Okay. But anyway, so with that, Thaddeus is very, very thankful to Scot-free. They let him stay at their place. And then we kind of switch to Steelhand, where he's getting the report of basically intimidating Thaddeus did not work. So Steelhand, I mean, really? Yeah, so I guess he was in a hospital, got a prosthetic that's just the hand part. But it allows him to rise through the ranks of Intergang. And I guess there was a wager between Thaddeus. They saw each other in the hospital, and Steelhand said that I am going to devise a trap, a foolproof trap that you cannot escape. That's a wager. And so he doesn't want to lose his noble high position in the Intergang. So if Mr. Miracle is able to escape this foolproof thing, that's going to really, really upset his position in the criminal organization. So we got to get rid of this guy. Then we see Scot-free. He's with Thaddeus, and they kind of say that, we should maybe see if you're good at this. So they wrap him in chains, and Oberon thinks that Scot-free is a genius and everything, so he is able to easily break free from the chains. Scot-free almost has them explode off of him. Seems that he has some kind of new god tech that allows this to happen. But he does basically tell Thaddeus and Oberon what he did. And they liked it so much, they were like, maybe you can help us with the show. Then Thaddeus basically talks about, where the term Mr. Miracle came from. His son, Ted, was helping him. His son and his wife have since passed. We don't know really why. But it was a very sad... Actually, I did kind of enjoy that sad moment. Not that I enjoyed the sad moment. I thought it was good. It made me feel something because Thaddeus was very upset. I mean, the Mr. Miracle thing was something that him and his son brought up together. And it was his son's idea, the costume and Mr. Miracle, before he was called the Great Thaddeus. Well, so Scot-free decides to help Thaddeus and Oberon, and he devises a little bit of a trap for Thaddeus to escape from. So while they're doing this and everything's getting set up, Scot-free's kind of watching, and Steelhand shows up with one of his boys that has a sniper gun. And Scot-free figures out what's going on, a little sixth sense, I don't know, but knows what's going to happen. He doesn't think Thaddeus is going to be able to escape in time. They did kind of an Indiana Jones thing where there's a big ball rolling towards Mr. Miracle, and he's got to escape before the ball hits what he's trapped against. Well, Scot-free is able to redirect a ball, but while that happens, the sniper shoots Thaddeus. There's a moment where Thaddeus just doesn't want Scot-free to leave him because he knows that he's dying. Oberon wants, Scot-free to help him, but he really can't. He is able to use some new god tech to ease the pain and to basically give Thaddeus a moment of peace before he passes. Wow. That was pretty interesting. That was a very poignant moment. Once again, Jack Kirby kind of makes you feel for this Thaddeus guy, and then you feel for him when he gets shot and is murdered. So we go to Steel Hand, who's at his lair with one of his boys, and he had created this one of his henchmen had created this robot arm wrestler. Yeah, okay. Oh, robot arm wrestler that can, have powerful pressure that can destroy steel and the like. So Steel Hand is going to arm wrestle him to show the power of the steel. It's just the hand. How is his arm not going to be ripped off his... Okay, so he's able to destroy the robot's arm, mechanical arm, with his hand. This is real. Flesh and blood. You gotta love Kirby. It's great. So anyway, he does that, and then behind him, Mr. Miracle, Thaddeus, jumps through the window. There's a little bit of a scuffle, but Thaddeus says, I will get into your foolproof escape, but if I get out, I want a written confession that you tried to... Wait a minute, this isn't Thaddeus at all. Scott Free had put on Thaddeus's costume. And if Scott Free is able to escape, he's going to get a written confession out of Steel Hand. Well, Steel Hand's not going to have that, so he has his goons beat up Scott Free and are able to knock him out. They tie him to this big rocket, as you can kind of see here, and they're going to shoot him out into space. No one's going to be able to survive through that. Kind of reminds me of a little bit of a, mysteriously slow dipping mechanism? Or basically any of those 60s Batman shows. Will the Caped Crusaders get out of this death-defying trap? Find out next time. Well, we don't have to find out next time. Because as Steel Hand is congratulating himself, kind of patting himself on the back, hopefully not with the steel hand, because we know how powerful that thing is, we see in the dark Mr. Miracle, Scott Free in Steel Hand's chair. How could this happen? It doesn't matter. I'm going to kill you. So there's a little bit of a scuffle. Steel Hand breaks his desk as he's trying to go after Scott Free. There's a little bit of a scuffle, and he's wondering how Scott Free was able to escape the death trap of the rocket. Well, it's kind of cool. Granted, I know that it's this, kind of new God's tech, but he says he was able to escape the chains with a hypersound amplifier to bust them off. He used his retro rockets to catapult himself away from the rocket, and then he used a compact cocoon spinner that was able to basically turn into a parachute, and he was able to land safely on the Earth. And then he used some kind of jet rockets, some kind of air cushioning rockets to basically hurtle himself past, well, not directly past, but past Steel Hand to surprise him in his office. So, yes, it is kind of, as they would say in the Star Trek mythos, technobabble, but I really enjoyed that he kind of gave us a little bit of an idea of how Scott Free was actually able to escape, instead of just going, yep, it happened. Magic of comic books, people. So, during this fight, Scott Free is able to use the compact cocoon spinner and wrap up Steel Hand. Well, with that, the police show up and Steel Hand is put in jail The police also say that this is going to help them with their takedown of a large portion of Intragang. And the very last panel, we see Oberon and Scott free. Oberon says basically that I will follow you and I would love to work with you. And at this point, Scott free becomes Mr. Miracle. I really love this story. I love this character. I'm a big fan of Kirby, his art, some of his gonzo designs, and it's just comic book fun at its finest. Well, that's been this issue, and I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, if you like Mr. Miracle, please leave that down in the comments. If you loved this video, liked it, or maybe just want to see something better, please subscribe, please like, please hit the notification bell, and share this with your friends. But until next issue, keep reading, everybody, and thanks for stopping by.